on the... Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 10 of our coding with Miss Zora. I am Afiki Lesikwebu. I've been your teacher for the past, for the past 9 days. And we are learning to code together. I'm a teacher at Linkside High School. If there's anyone who is new to this class, it's a high school in Port Elizabeth, and I teach grade 10, 11, and 12, and also grade 8 and 9. So you are welcome if you're joining us for the first time. And if we get an interruption, I have said I will have load shedding, and if I get cut while I'm still speaking, please just bear with us. I'm trying to get to I'm trying to connect to a different network. So I also have PowerPoint that is decided to update, and if this PowerPoint presentation cuts off at any time, just please bear with me. PowerPoint has decided to update. So welcome once again to our session. I trust that you are going to have a good time and as we learn together. So yesterday we were doing a game. It was called a space game. And the space game, basically you have a spaceship and you have some other aircrafts, and there's 3 types of aircrafts. Well, there's 3 aircrafts that you have to shoot down, and then there's one that you mustn't shoot down. So we are trying to design, well, we were trying to do this game, or we were still finishing this game yesterday. So that is what we are going to do. As a recap, we are looking at finishing that game, which basically uses a lot of the coding blocks that we have been using in the past 8 days to yesterday. So that is what we are going to finish off today. If you have any questions, please write them down till we will take questions at the end of today's session. And then you can email me your ideas at afikile@africateamgeeks.co.za. If you have any ideas of things that you would like us to do, there's my email address. You can email me, and I am keen to hear from you guys of the ideas that you would like us to look at. Then if there's also anyone who has a project that they have been working on their own, and they would gladly like to share it with us, I will give you space before we start today for you to do just that. All right. And so that is what we are going to do today, which is something that we spoke about yesterday. And so we are just going to finish our game today. And then before we move on, I want to encourage you guys to take part in today's session. Ms. Dimopoulos will be addressing you guys today at 3 p.m. And I would love for all of you guys to be part of that session. I think there is so much that you are going to learn from our speaker today. And so please take time to hear her out, and let's learn together as we listen to her presentation. So today we are going to hear from Ms. Dimopoulos, and tomorrow we are going to hear from Ms. Mbanefo at 10 a.m. So today's session is at 3 p.m. and tomorrow's session is at 10 a.m. So please tune in, and I would love for you guys to be in attendance. Okay, so what we are going to do is for me to stop sharing this screen. And I'm just going to quickly speak about something. For those of you guys who are joining us now, I have also put in a link in the group. You must just, if you click on that link after the session, you can copy that link, send it to your mother via WhatsApp, or your father via WhatsApp, or your guardians. We would like to make certificates for you guys, and we want some information that we are going to put on those certificates. So if you could please make sure that before the end of the session, you have your parents, you give that link to your parents. It has been shared in the chat section to everybody. We want to give certificates to you guys, and therefore we would like some minor information about you. And yeah, I think that is the last announcement I have for today. So I'm going to share my screen once again. And while I share my screen, I want to put a small apology to everyone and say that yesterday I did not save my game. So I closed my game without saving it. And I hope that you have yours, you had saved yours, and you will be able to start from where we left off. So if I hope you had saved your game. I forgot to save mine, which is a very, very, very bad habit. Well, a bad thing to do. So I hope that your game has been saved. So where we left off yesterday, we had a spacecraft, and our spacecraft was able to move. It was able to move from one place to the other when we click, when we press either up, left, or up, down, left, or right. It was then able to move accordingly, and it is this rocket here. And we then had these rocket ships, which we had written the code. What they do is that they move from left to right, and they move at different speeds. And that's what we did. And then we had also done the explosion, that when this rocket ship touches, for instance, when this alien touches the rocket, it must then explode. So that is also part of what we did. And we said that today we are going to work on the bullet to make sure that when we click on a key, which for this case, we are going to make it a space bar. When we click the space bar, the rocket is going to shoot that bullet. So before we get back to our game, I'm going to check on the chat section and see, is there anyone that says they would like to share their project with us? Okay, anyone who would like to share their project? Mohammed, I see you say you saved yours, but you can't see your rocket. So what you can do is to start your game and then click on the up arrow. It was going to appear somewhere there. So anyone who would like to share their project, if you can just raise your hand and I will unmute you and you can share your screen. If you have a project that you have worked on that you would like to share with us. Okay. No one. All right, so I guess I'll check again at the end of the session today. So we have the balloon, the bullet that we are going to code today. And after we've coded the bullet, we are then going to go back to the rocket and the rocket ship to make sure that there are variables, the variables that are linked to that, they are working. So the first thing that we are going to do with the bullet is that we want to have the head block that when we start the game, something must then happen. So we say that we are going to use our event and we will take this head block. And by the way, as you can see how it's shaped, there's no other block that can come before this one. The head block is always the starting block. It cannot be it cannot be in the middle of the algorithm. It always has to be at the top. just something that I thought I will pass to us. So it is always at the top, and it cannot be anywhere else. All right. So when we start when we click the flag, first thing that we want to do is that we want to have a code that is going to repeat. All right. And it's going to keep happening. It's going to keep repeating all the time. So we have, when we click the flag, then you must do this forever. So we are going to look at that. The first thing that we want to do when the game starts, the bullet must be hidden. We want to make sure that the bullet is hidden. So for the people who are joining us, we are continuing with our game and we are coding the bullet now. So we want it to first start as hidden because we don't want it to work at that time. Then we want to make a decision. We want to ask a few questions before the bullet will start working. So this is when now we start asking questions, or this is where we start applying the logic of our code. So what we'll do is that we will say if, so whenever you want, whenever you have a question to ask in your code, I would just encourage you to always use the if block. So for instance, I want, let's just say, whenever you want to make a decision in your code, use the if block and ask your question in English. What is it that you want to do? And then in this case, we want to say, if I press the keyboard, no. If I press the space key, that's what I want to say. If I press the space key, what must happen? So that is the question, that is the line of questioning that you must do. So if I press the space bar, if key pressed, and if I am speaking fast or I'm doing things fast, please let me know. I'm trying to go as slow as I possibly can. So if the key space is pressed, what must you do? Okay, we want, the first thing is that it must play a sound. Okay, it must start the sound, this sound. Okay, zoop. And you will see that the sound, because I've given you the project, the sound is already there. Okay. So when I press the key, the space bar, it must start that sound. All right. So the next thing is that the bullet, which is hidden at this time, it must go to the rocket. So it must go to the rocket. So it doesn't go to any position. It goes to the rocket. So we want it to go to the rocket. Whenever I press the space key, wherever the bullet is, for instance, now it's there, it is there, it's right at the end. It must leave that position and it must come straight to the rocket. All right. So it must go to the rocket. And then what must happen is that this is something new, is that it must change its position in the game. So for instance, when it starts, it is above. So if we were to put it here, it is going to be over the rocket. All right. But what we want is that we want it to be below the rocket or behind the rocket. So we are going to say, go backward by one layer. So we are going to say, go. If you go to looks, you then say, go backward one layer. So now when it appears, when I press the space bar, it's always going to be behind the rocket. So we are not going to be able to see it following the rocket. It's going to be behind, the layer behind the rocket. So that you can also use if, let's say, you have sprites that are going to cross one another, and you want one of the sprites to be in front or to be above the other one, you then choose whether to go backward or forward the layers. So that's what is happening there. When it's gone backward by one layer, you also then want it to show. Okay, so if the key is pressed, then start the sound, zoop, and then go to the rocket, go behind the rocket, and then show yourself. All right, so we can connect that, and let's see. Can you see now? When I press the space key, it comes behind. Now let's see if we had said it must be forward by one layer. Let me restart it. Okay, let's see if I do this. Okay, it's still not coming back. All right, let's keep it at backward. Let's keep it there. Let's see now if I press the space, wherever it is, wherever the rocket ship is, can you see that it moves on with it? All right. Then what we do is next, we will then repeat or have another loop inside this forever loop. So we have a nested loop now. So you remember we had nested if statements or nested if blocks. Now we are going to have a nested loop. So we have a forever, which is going to keep running all the time. So now we want to have another loop, and this loop, it is going to be a repeat loop or repeat until loop. And this repeat until loop is going to check the X position of our bullet. Okay, it's going to check where the bullet is in our project. For those of you who are joining us, please, we are coding the bullet now. So you can just do the code. We are coding the bullet. This is the code for the bullet. All right, so we are then going to say if, okay, if the X position is 232, or the X position of the bullet is greater than 232, all right? We are then going to check where it is. We want to see whether it's reached the end of the screen, all right? And so in order to do that, we are going to use an OR. Remember, I said I like to have two conditions. I like to check for two conditions. In case one doesn't work, the other one is there to save the day. So we are going to say if the X position, let's say, and then we are going to also use greater than. So please take note that we are using equals and the greater than sign. So we are using equal and greater than sign. So we are going to then say if X position equals the number we are going to put, or X position is greater than the number that we are going to put, then something must happen. So just make sure that you have the equal sign and the greater than sign. So we say if the X position is greater than 232 or equal to, or sorry, if it's equals to or it's greater than, then what must happen? All right. Now, we want to put this here. Then what must happen? It must leave the rocket. It must leave the rocket. Then we must go and change, where is this thing now? Change X by, let's make it 20. So it must leave the rocket and it must shoot itself out. All right. So it must change. It must leave the rocket. All right. Then we are then going to add this here under the if statement. Sorry. So we are going to put it inside the if statement. So it's a loop inside an if statement inside another loop. All right. So there's a loop, there's an if statement, and inside this loop, there's another, inside this if statement, there's a loop. So if I press now, so this one says repeat until your position is the end of the screen, which is 232 or well, which is 232. So there it is. Okay, so it's working. So it's shooting it now. Whenever we press, it then shoots itself out. All right. So, and it's going to go on until it gets to the end. We want to then have another if statement inside this repeat. So we have a forever loop, we have an if statement. Inside this if statement, we have a loop. But now, while this bullet is still going, we want the bullet to keep asking itself a question. And so inside this code, I hope I'm not getting too complicated. Inside this code, we ask a question. We are then going to say if, and we'll put it under this change X by 20. If what? If you are touching this rocket ship, you must play a sound and then you must hide because you have done your business. So it must play a sound. You will see that all the sounds are there. We don't have to select any sounds from this from sounds because I put them when I did the game. Well, I did it some time ago, I think 2 years ago. So let's not put this first. Let's finish our if. So if you are touching the rocket ship, so we are going to go to sensing. If you are touching the rocket ship, now you must just make sure you choose the correct rocket ship. So if you are touching this rocket ship, then you must play this sound. All right. And then you must hide because you have finished your job. All right. Or else, if we are going to have another if outside of this if, so outside of this if, we have another one. Or let me do this code outside so that we don't get confused. So if you're touching this rocket ship, you must do this sound, all right? If also we need now to do the same for this rocket ship and also the same for this rocket ship, excuse me. I could just duplicate this code, but I'm going to do it for us. If you are touching rocket ship 2, then you must start the sound. Start the sound jump, and then you must hide yourself. And this is only going to happen if it touches the rocket ship, and then you can put this under the first if statement. And it's only going to happen if it touches the rocket ship. If it doesn't touch the rocket ship, it is not going to happen. All right. So now we have the bullet going. Let's see if it touches the rocket ship. So you can choose a sound of you can choose your own sound, you know. So you can choose your own sound. Let's see if it touches this one. Let's see if it touches this one. See, now if it touches this one, nothing happens. And why is that so? Does anyone want to give it a try? Why is it that when it touches this rocket ship, nothing happens? If you raise your hand. Why is it that when it touches this rocket ship, it doesn't make the sound, but when it touches this one, it makes the jump sound. Also, when it touches here, it does it. Who would like to give it a try? Why is it that that happens? If you raise your hand. Oh, okay. So Mary says it has no code. Thank you, Mary. So we are going to code that. That is the correct answer. It does not have the code. So we also then, what you can do, let's just copy this. Let's duplicate this code and let's put it on the side. And we are going to say if touching rocket ship 3. We are then going to also add this code just outside this if statement. All right. What we could have done, I think we could have gotten away with using if then else and then have another if statement inside there, but we'll keep it this way. Okay, so now if I bring it here, now you see it now also works, and that's cool. We are good to go. Then finally, what did we not do? Okay, we have done this. We have done, we did the alien yesterday, right? We did the explosion, we did the rocket, and then we did all the rocket ships. So now what we want to do is to go back and make sure that our variables are going to work, all right? So I'm going to start now making sure that our variables are working and we're keeping a score of our game. So the first thing that I'm going to do is come to variables, and we already have a variable called score, which we are not going to add another variable for this game. But if you wanted to at home, you can play around and add your own variable, all right? So we're not going to add a new variable. We have score already. So the first thing that we want is that when the game starts, the score must always be 0. What we are counting is how many of these guys we have shot down. So the score must always be 0. And life also must always be 0. So you have score and you have life. Let's display both of them. And your lives start at 10. So our life starts at 10. So we are going to say when the game starts, set the life to start at 10 and we put that only under outside the loop, because we only want to run that code once. We don't want it to run again. We only want it to run one time, and then it must be done. And then, therefore, we are going to put it outside the forever loop. Then secondly, we want to set the score to 0. We have our score set to 0. Okay. And then thirdly, we also then want to then have another variable that we are going to put here. And let's put it outside and say, if touching alien, I knew I could have just used an if statement here. So we are going to put it here outside this loop. So we are going to trace it. And so it is the first one outside. Okay, so we are going to put it in here. We are going to put it in here, okay, because it must be inside this loop. It must not be in the forever. It must, all of this, by the way, all of this code, it's going to run, all of it, before it goes back to, before it goes out, it must do all of these things. But if you see all of these three codes, 1, 2, 3, it is only going to select one if statement. Only one if statement is going to play here. It cannot be this, and this at the same time. It can only do one if statement at a go. So if this if statement is true, then it's not going to go, it's not going to do this thing at all. It's just going to skip it. So, and then come to this if statement and then go out. So what we'll do is to say now, if you are touching the alien, if it touches the alien, you must lose a life. It's like for any of us who are gamers, when let's say you're playing a game, your favorite game, let's say Call of Duty, and you're playing and you shoot your partner, you lose a life, because especially if you play online, because you're not supposed to shoot your partner, you know. So whenever you shoot this spaceship, you must lose a life. So we are going to say it must change the life. So if touching, the name of it is alien. If it's touching alien, you must change the life by -1. Okay. And then it's going to show the variable called life. It's going to show life, where show variable called life. Because we don't want it to be showing all the time. So that's why it was deselected before. It's only when you will see that what it does is that it blocks blocks your space. So whether we put it here or put it there or put it there or put it here, it's going to block your view. And some of the things you may not see, some of the ships you may not see when they are coming. So we want to deselect it so it disappears. And it's only going to show when you have touched this alien. It's only going to show you how many lives you have then. Okay. And then that's what we are going to do. And then we are going to wait, let's say, half a second. And after that, we hide it again. Okay. So what we've done, we have now coded our bullet to listen to the space key. So when we press the space key, It's going to start the sound zoop. It's going to go to the rocket. It's going to find the rocket wherever the rocket is. When it finds the rocket, it's going to go backward by one layer. It's then going to show itself. After that, we are going to have another loop where it's going to keep moving 20 steps until it gets to the end. And this change x by 20, it is just how fast it must travel. So if we said by 30, you'll see, let me just do this. So it's quicker. So depending on how quick you want your bullet to be, you can change this value. And it will continue moving up until it gets to the end of the screen. And if it touches any of these rocket ships, rocket ship 1, 2, or 3, it must play the sound, and then it must be hidden again and wait for the space key to be pressed again. So we have done the code for the bullet. Then we go back to our rocket. If we go back to our rocket, we had 4 things. We had done the movement for the 4 arrows, and we are now going to finish it off to check the variables or to change the score for this space for the rocket. So if we've done this yesterday, please just remind me. As I said, I did not save my project, and so I'm not sure what we had done or not. So also we have a head block to say when the flag is clicked, the code that we are going to start, we are going to do it over and over again. So we then say, if you are touching the rocket ship, let's put it outside for now. If you touch the rocket ship, let's do this, sorry. If touching rocket ship, or so we want to check for this one, and we want to check also for the other one. Then it must do something, right? So we want to check for all of these 3, all these 2. So in fact, let's see if I can't put, let me just try something that I've not tried before. I want to see if this is going to work. I'm just trying this. I've never tried it before. Rocket ship 3. So what this reads is, if touching a rocket ship 3 or touching rocket ship 1 or touching rocket ship 2, okay, I think it's going to work. So we just test for all of those conditions, and only one has to be true. You'll remember with an or, only one of them has to be true. If we had used an and, all of them had to be true. It has to touch this one, and this one at the same time for it to work. But with an or, if it touches this one, then it's done. It's done its job. And we don't have, if it touches this one, and this is the first one, it doesn't have to go to this code anymore. It says, okay, I have found a condition that is true. I am now going to change the life So change life by -1. All right. So if now you remember this code is for this rocket ship, the physical rocket ship, and not the bullet. So if this rocket ship touches this guy, it must then you must then lose a life because we have touched an enemy ship. So if it must lose a life, and then we are going to say, wait 1 second. Okay, let's make it quicker, 0.5. And you must show the variable life because we want to know how many lives we have left. And then we are going to wait another half a second. And it's going to be inside. And then we are going to hide life. Okay, there you are. So that is the code for the touching of this guy. So let's see if it does touch here. Can you see? Okay, maybe we can make this 1 second. Let's make this 1 second. 1, stop it. Why is it not clicking? Okay, 1, 1. Okay. You see now? So it shows, you can see that it's counting down. Now it's counting down. All right, so we have done that. And of course, you have the code to move the arrows. I don't have them because I didn't save my code. Let me do it so, and let me, no, I will save it at the end. Please remind me to save my code at the end, because if I save it now, it's going to do another download. And if I save it again, it's going to download this project. So here we have done this code. The alien, we had done the alien code. And we are finished with this code. This one, we had also done it. The one thing that we need to do is to make sure that we want to, no, we don't have to do that because this code is going to work for all of them. So if it touches any of these 3 rockets, it's going to change the life for you automatically, okay? So we don't need to do that. Now, we are going to go back to something that we didn't do yesterday. I'm going to ask someone who has been following since yesterday to show me their code for rocket ship 3. I just want to see what we did yesterday because I know there's something that I said we would need to finish up. So if there's someone who has been working since yesterday, can you just share your code? Just raise your hand and I will spotlight you and you can share your code with us. I just want to see how far we went yesterday. Anyone? Muhammad, would you like to share your code? Anyone who says, I was working yesterday and I would like to share my code. You're not going to talk about it. I just want to see. Don't worry, Muhammad, about the rocket that's hiding. I just want to see the code for the rocket ship. Okay, no one is going to show a code, to show their code. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just then quickly going to do the code that we were supposed to, that I think we did yesterday. So we had, okay, Muhammad, I'm going to ask you to unmute. And then if you can spotlight him If our host can spotlight him, I'm going to stop my share now. Can you please spotlight Mohammed? Okay, Mohammed, you can share your screen. At the bottom, Mohammed, there is an icon that says share screen. Please, you will click on that icon and choose which of the windows you want to share. Okay. All right. No, thank you for that. Thank you for that, sir. What I'm going to do, I'm going to come to where my project is at the moment. So this is the complete project that I did before, way before. So what I'm going to do is that I will go through this project with you guys, and this is what I've been working from. So the rocket ship, this one, rocket ship 2, 1, and 3, they all share the same code. So we had, when the flag is clicked, I think we had done this one because it was to move our rocket from one place to the other. Then we were going to come to this one, which then says, when the flag is clicked, so let me just take it one at a time. So when the flag is clicked, you must have a forever loop. So you must go through this code all the time. And we want to test when it touches. So when this rocket ship touches the bullet. So when it touches the bullet, make sure you've selected bullet here. So let me take this apart. We'll say forever, if you are touching the bullet, the first thing that you must do is you must switch the costume to explode. So we will come to looks. So you go to looks, and in looks you will say switch costume to explode. That's that. And after you've switched the costume to explode, so let's take that and join it in. You must then change the score by 1. So because now we have touched an enemy ship. So we have touched this guy with our bullet. So we must change the score by 1. And you must wait 1 second. This is the rocket ship now. It must wait for 1 second before it reappears again. Sorry, it must wait 1 second, and then it must go into hiding. It must hide. Then it must go back to the starting position. And it must make sure that that starting position is a random position. So then you set X to 240, which is the position that we want it to go to, and you can see it there already. If we want it to start in hiding, we can let's make this 250, and let's see where it's going to go. Okay, so it goes. So 250, and we then say next costume, it must go back to being a rocket ship again. So it has changed here to become explode, but now it must go back to being a rocket ship, and then you must show it again because we want to see it moving on the screen. So that is what we were supposed to have done there. And then the code is going to be the same for the other rocket ships. as well. It doesn't change at all. No values change. It remains the same. Then you can copy that to the other rocket ships as well by dragging, by copying, dragging, you drag and you drop it in the sprite that you want to duplicate it in. Then for our rocket, what we wanted to do was to say, when the flag is clicked, let me just take this apart also. So when the flag is clicked, no, I think no. We've done this, or did we not do it? No, we've done it. Yeah, no, we've done this one already. So we have done this. We are done with this explosion. The alien, okay, now I remember. The alien, after it waits 1 second, you must show the variable and you must change the life by -1, and then you must hide the variable again. That is all that we needed to do there. So that is what was missing in our code that we were supposed to do yesterday. So if you're touching the balloon as the alien, you must change the costume to oops. You must wait 1 second. You must then show the variable called life. You must then change the life by -1 so that we can see it. And then you wait another second, then you hide the variable. So that is what was remaining on this one. And if I can play it now. Okay, you will see now. So some of them don't explode. As you can see, so you can see it, and you can edit the game, make it have a start button. When it gets to 0, you make it end. So you can have different things. You can even have, when you get to a certain score, you can have balloons flying around to celebrate. So you can make it your own. You can remix it. You can do different things to make the game yours. And I then believe we have come to the end of this session because we have completely finished our game, and you can edit it. You can edit all of that and do it according to how you want it to happen. So thank you for listening to me. We have learned how to do a game in Misora by using various coding blocks. We learned how we can have a loop inside an if statement. We said if something happens, repeat until something else happens. We saw how we can have nested if statements inside a loop. And so we then designed a game to bring all of this code together. And I hope that it was all clear and that we can do our own projects and we can share our own projects. I really want to see what you guys are able to do at home. And so if there's anything that was not clear in this video, please make sure that you go to YouTube and it is going to be there. And then finally, for anyone who joined late, I've just put a link in the chat. Please click on that link and get your parents to please fill in that form for us. We want to print certificate. We want to make certificates for you guys, and we would like the certificates to have your name. And at 3 o'clock, we have a session where we are going to be listening to one of the speakers that we have for this week. So at 3 o'clock, please log in once again. You will get the link in the newsletter. Check your email, and come and learn with us as we learn to code together. So we are going to be learning from someone who has been coding for big companies, and I would love for you guys to be there. So if there's no question, if there's anyone who has a question, please, you can raise your hand and we will take your question before our time runs out. If there's anyone who has a question. No one? Nobody. So everybody is cool. Okay. Okay. Your rocket is not showing on your screen, Mohammed. Mohammed says his rocket is not showing on his screen. If you go to the rocket code, make sure that you have all of this code on there. Make sure you have all of this code, and make sure that this code is not hiding anywhere. Make sure that you have that code and it's not hiding from you. I'm going to share that code with you just in case our time ends. You can download it. I've shared a screenshot with you. So just make sure that you have this code, and with inside your code, you don't have this code, you don't have this block. Make sure you don't have this block. Just make sure you don't have it. And then what you do, start your game so that it activates all of this code. Then you can work on, then you can click any of the arrows. Because for now, if I click any of the arrows, let me just move these things quickly. If I click any of the arrows, nothing will happen because it wants me to click the flag first. So if I click the flag, only the up arrow is going to work. If I click here, however, then all of them are going to work. So just make sure that your code is correct. And then if it's still not working, I'm going to leave my email address in the chat. You can just send me an email and we can talk there. Okay. Anyone else with a question? Okay, Mpo. Also, I think what we'll do, send me your code on my email. My email is I've just typed it in the chat. Then we can talk. I think we have 2 minutes, and we might not have enough time to look at your code. In fact, let's try. Okay, let's try and see. I'm going to unmute you. Mpo, I'm going to unmute you quickly and see if we can. Okay, unmute yourself, Mpo.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
I was saying one of my codes, one of my rockets, they don't move. They go to the end of the page on the left and they just don't move from there on.
Okay. Now, which code, do you know which one it is?
I think it's rocket.
Just double click. Okay, what you do, double click on it.
Okay.
We have 1 minute. If you just double click on it, it's going to show you the code. Okay. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to screenshot the code and I will also share it. I will also share it because we have run out of time.
Yeah, it's rocket 3.
Rocket 3. Okay.
Yes.
I'm sharing the code with you. I'm sharing a screenshot of the code because we've run out of time. Make sure that your if block, can you see the if here? If X
Yes.
position equals minus 246, go and check where it gets stuck here in the X position, right? And then whatever that number is, come and put it here and also on this side, all right?
Okay.
So whatever this number is, just go and put it there. If it still gets stuck, send me an email and we can talk about it. But thank you guys for joining me. We have officially run out of time, and I must say goodbye. Thank you. Have a lovely day.